I remember a year ago where I sort of dreamt up this idea of who would win between a battle with Pyramid Head from Silent Hill and the Big Daddy from Bioshock. What if scenarios on who do you think would win between a fight between these two characters here? And this is something I thought up a year ago, and every sort of several months, every about 4 months, I will always sort of go back to it and rethink about it. And I felt that, you know what, let's see if we can do a video on this and have some fun and see if we can get some other gamers sort of inputs on it through the comments. Now let's look at the Big Daddy. Yi Se-chung was a doctor who basically looked around Rapture and he saw that these little girls were very vulnerable to attacks when they were gathering at him. So he knew that he needed to do something. He needed to find a way to protect these young girls from any kind of harassment or attacks. So he gone out to develop the Protectors program, which is when they brought in people to basically genetically enhance their genes and in a way turn them into this sort of mindless beast. And their sole purpose was to do maintenance and to make sure the young girls from Rapture are not harmed. That was their goal. And then we have Pyramid Head, who made his first appearance in Silent Hill 2 and had small cameos in Silent Hill Homecoming. And he was referred to as the Red Pyramid Thing, aka Pyramid Head, or in Homecoming he was called simply the Boogeyman, which is really a well represented name for what he is sort of this, idea of this being who will always get to you in some sort of another, regardless of where you are. And he is, in a way, people's worst nightmares come to life. Now, what makes this fight interesting, to me, why I always sort of think about it, was because, in a sense, Pyramid Head isn't real. He is sort of this manifestation of the main character's sort of sins being brought to life. And that's sort of what Pyramid goals was always about. His goals was always about to show you who you are. His goals was to show you in the sort of worst possible way your sins and to always remind you this is what you have done in the past. And that's really what he is. He is the boogeyman. He is the dream seeker in a way. And his goals is always mess with you, mess with your head. Now what happens when you start messing with the Big Daddy's mind, start to mess with his own psyche? You have this interesting idea of, can Pyramid Head break the Big Daddy? And then when you sort of think about it, in a way, the Big Daddy, for the most part, is a mindless zombie. He's a mindless drone. His sole purpose was to protect the little girls. But within that, you see throughout Bioshock little tidbits of emotion that you see through the Big Daddy when he interacts with the little girl, whether it's disappointment or fear or aggression. As mindless as he is, there is something there. There is some sense of humanity there that we see in Bioshock, that we see in the Big Daddy. Whether how limited that is, it all depends. But there is a sense of humanity there that makes him real, that makes him human in a way. So what happens when Pyramid Head is able to break that? Isn't that all what Pyramid Head needs in order to break the Big Daddy? We have to understand that the Big Daddy was always, for most of his life, was created as to be taken control. That was always his duty, is to take orders from someone to do something. So what makes him think that Pyramid Head won't be able to take control of him like everyone else has? Now, what is the most logical way for these two to ever actually fight each other? Since he is meaning Pyramid Head. Since he is, in a way, the idea of the main character in all of the Silent Hill games, that would mean that the Big Daddy himself would have to create Pyramid Head through regret and sins that he's created in the past. He would have to create Pyramid Head in order to have some sort of interaction or battle with. Now, for the Big Daddy, because Pyramid Head isn't necessarily real, he technically cannot kill him hand-to-hand combat. He could beat the hell out of him, but he won't be able to actually kill him because he isn't necessarily real. The only way you can kill Pyramid Head, and this was only done once in the series, was when the main character, or in this case, the Big Daddy, comes to some sort of forgive himself for those sins and to sort of move on with his life. I mean, it's a kind of a cheap way to do it, but that's kind of the way it is. It's kind of like Freddy Krueger. You know, if you don't believe in him, he can't do anything to you. So it really, the battle doesn't, you know, end with this huge, you know, fight. It really ends with, you know, the psychology or the mind frame of the main character. That really how it ends, and that's how you're able to beat a guy like Pyramid Head. But yet that wouldn't be very exciting to sort of, you know, watch or anything like that. So it really comes down to, I mean, who would win in a physical fight between the two if you took out sort of all the supernatural things that goes on around these two sort of series. And let's look at Pyramid Head, who has the spear and the well-known the Great Knife, which, why they don't call it the Great Sword is beyond me, but sure, okay, it's the Great Knife. And then we have the Big Daddy, which there are several different types of Big Daddies throughout the series. So for the sake of fun, we just stick with the Bouncer, which is what you saw in the cover of the first Bioshock game, and he's sort of the he's somewhat of a poster boy for Bioshock, so we'll just stick with that particular Big Daddy. And one of the Big Daddy's signature sort of weapons is the drill that he has on his right hand. And okay, so when it comes to Pyramid Head's blades and spear, the spear doesn't do as much damage as the blade does. And one of the things about the blade is that it takes a long time for Pyramid Head to sort of swing, so you get about a good 3 seconds off before he actually is able to swing that huge sword. If he connects, it does pretty much a lot of damage, but the problem is that the Big Daddy is so agile, so for a guy in a huge scuba suit, he's very, very fast. So can Pyramid Head, is he able to actually connect with that Great Knife if, you know, the Big Daddy's sort of running around him, you know? And I don't personally think he can. I think that the Big Daddy is way too fast and agile for Pyramid Head to actually catch up to. And one of the things that really gives the Big Daddy a big sort of bump up when it comes to fighting Pyramid Head is his aggressiveness. He is much more aggressive in his fighting stance than Pyramid Head is. And the Big Daddy doesn't just kill you. The Big Daddy freaking punches you in the face and tries to beat the living hell out of you before actually killing you. So when it comes to just that aggressiveness, the Big Daddy definitely has a huge advantage over Pyramid Head. And then you also have that flying tackle that the Big Daddy has, which I don't care who you are, whether you're Pyramid Head or Nemesis or whoever, if you got a guy in an armored sort of scuba suit coming at you at about, 20 miles an hour at full speed, you're gonna get hit and you're gonna go down. So that's definitely, when it comes to who would win between Pyramid Head and the Big Daddy in a, hand-to-hand combat, there would basically be no doubt that, the Big Daddy has more aggressiveness and much more speed to his attributes. So it would really be the Big Daddy who would win that fight more than anything else. So really at the end, if you bring in these sort of supernatural parts of both games that the characters are living in, Pyramid Head would win by default, in my opinion, over the Big Daddy because, once again, he is sort of the boogeyman, and in order to beat Pyramid Head, you have to know oneself, which the Big Daddy lacks because his self is really towards these little girls and not for himself, which would leave the Big Daddy to be in almost like limbo like stage where he will forever be fighting Pyramid Head and unable to beat him because he will never truly understand what it is to actually be him because he has one focus, one prior goal, and that's all he knows. But when it comes to sort of this hand-to-hand combat, it would have to go to the Big Daddy because he is much more agile, he is much more faster than Pyramid Head. So that will leave for him to basically just simply beat out Pyramid Head because Pyramid Head is a bit slow. He takes a little while for his knife to actually come down, to actually hit you, and I don't think the Big Daddy would allow him to do that for how fast he is, so definitely hand-to-hand combat would go out to the Big Daddy, no doubt. And thank you so much for everyone watching this video. Please write a comment who you think is the best, between Pyramid Head and the Big Daddy. Who would win in a fight between these two? I would love to hear all you guys' comments on this. So all you guys take care and thank you for watching.
When will you come home?